How my deadbeat mother turned me into a drug addict. My name is Jake, and I'm 26 now. I look back on my life and wonder how the hell I survived. Growing up in a small, dead-end town, I never had much of a chance. I think the worst part was my mom. She was supposed to be my rock, my support, but instead, she was the one who dragged me down. Mom, her name's Linda, had me when she was just 18. She always blamed me for ruining her life, even though she was the one who chose to keep me. She never had a real job, just a string of boyfriends who were as useless as she was. We lived in a rundown apartment that always smelled like stale cigarettes and beer. I remember being 5 or 6 and realizing other kids didn't live like me. They had clean clothes, packed lunches, and parents who actually cared. I'd go to school with holes in my shoes and nothing to eat. Teachers tried to help, but there's only so much they could do. Mom always said she was doing her best, but her best wasn't good enough. By the time I was 8, I was pretty much taking care of myself. Mom would disappear for days at a time, leaving me with a box of cereal and a gallon of milk that never lasted long enough. I learned how to make do, stealing from the corner store when I had to. I hated it, but what choice did I have? Mom's boyfriends were the worst. They'd come and go, treating our place like a flophouse. Some were mean, some were just indifferent, but none of them cared about me. One guy, Donnie, was around the most. He was a real piece of work, always yelling at me for being in the way. He'd slap me around if I talked back, so I learned to keep my mouth shut. When I was 12, things got even worse. Mom lost her job at the diner, not that she ever went much, and the bills piled up. She started selling drugs to make ends meet. At first, it was just weed, but it quickly escalated to harder stuff. Our apartment turned into a revolving door of shady characters, all looking for their next fix. One night, I came home to find a group of guys in the living room, smoking something that smelled strange. Mom was passed out on the couch, a needle hanging from her arm. One of the guys, a scruffy-looking dude named Rick, saw me staring and laughed. "Want a hit, kid?" he asked, holding out a joint. I didn't know what to do. I was scared, but also curious. I took it and inhaled, coughing my lungs out. The room spun, and for the first time in my life, I felt something other than fear and hunger. I felt numb. It didn't take long for me to get hooked. Rick and the others were happy to share, as long as I did their dirty work, running errands, cleaning up, whatever they needed. It was a small price to pay for a few hours of escape. Mom didn't care. She was too far gone to notice, or maybe she just didn't care. School became a blur. I'd show up high, if I showed up at all. My grades tanked, but no one seemed to notice. The teachers had given up on me long ago. I started skipping more and more, hanging out with Rick and his crew instead. They weren't friends, not really, but they gave me what I needed. By the time I was 14, I was doing harder stuff, pills, coke, whatever I could get my hands on. I'd steal from Mom's stash when she wasn't looking, which was most of the time. She was too strung out to notice. Our apartment was a wreck, but it was the only home I knew. Things hit rock bottom when I was 15. Mom overdosed one night, and I found her cold and unresponsive on the bathroom floor. I called 911, but it was too late. She was gone. I didn't cry. I felt nothing. Maybe I was too numb from all the drugs, or maybe I had stopped caring a long time ago. After Mom died, I was placed in foster care. I bounced from home to home, never staying long enough to unpack my bag. No one wanted a messed up kid with a drug problem. I ended up on the streets more often than not, doing whatever it took to survive. I was 16 when I met Sarah. She was a social worker who actually gave a damn. She found me sleeping in an alley one night and took me to a shelter. She didn't judge me or lecture me. She just listened. With Sarah's help, I got into rehab. It wasn't easy. Detox was hell, and there were times I wanted to give up. But Sarah was there, pushing me, believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. I don't know how, but I made it through. Rehab was just the beginning. I had to learn how to live again, how to be a person without drugs. It was a long, hard road, but I did it. I finished high school, got a job, and started putting my life back together. I'm 26 now, and while I'm not perfect, I'm clean. That's something I never thought I. Looking back, I can't believe how far I've come. My childhood was a nightmare, and my mom was at the center of it. She wasn't just a deadbeat, she was a danger to me and everyone around her. But I survived, and that's what matters. I think about Mom sometimes, wonder if things could have been different. Maybe if she'd gotten help, maybe if someone had stepped in sooner. But there's no point in dwelling on the past. All I can do is move forward and try to make something of my life. I share my story now, not for sympathy, but to show that no matter how dark things get, there's always hope. If I can make it, anyone can. It's not easy, and it takes a lot of hard work, but it's possible. So that's my story. It's not a happy one, but it's mine. And for the first time in a long time, I'm proud of who I am. Default. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe for more, like the video, and share it with your friends. Got any crazy stories of your own? Share them in the comments below. Thanks for watching.